Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody? Good morning. We've had quite the move over the last few hours, huh? Check out some of this stuff. We had Bitcoin moving up $300. We had oil. It moved lower almost 2% in an hour. And then earlier today, we had a big red day here on the dollar, didn't we? Huh? Just a drift over those last couple of days there on the dollar. And the S&P's been doing nothing but going sideways over yesterday. Oh man, yesterday it got hammered. Hello, Pascal. Hope you're enjoying your vacation. So, we got a few topics today. Mostly dollar, DXY, lower right off the bat. A lot of outlooks that have been released over the last 24 hours are making more stringent calls for recession. And in those outlooks, there are now more straightforward calls for my earlier expectation over the weekend, which was the ECB might be making a policy error. So let's go into the charts real quick. Actually, there is something I do want to show. Alrighty. So, what I've been working on is taking some notes. Quite literally. When I do my outlooks and trade research, I do it in this app here called Obsidian. And man, I've been able to make a lot of people happy today. I went ahead and I figured out, you could send out some public links so that then people can view your notes directly. And I really like it. It's very efficient for me to do all my note taking through. Just look at all of these outlooks that I've already gone through and broken down for myself. And I'm like, let me go ahead and see if that URL publishing for these notes works. And man, people have just been gobbling up everything in these outlooks, man. So I've realized, oh man, there's gonna be some good stuff. So if you are particularly new to reading outlooks, you could do stuff like this, like all this here. This is all stuff that I've written for my trading expectations on the ECB and Japan. And, Japan's been going kind of nutty here. And this is just my thoughts. And I've been updating this, and I realized, I could update these every single day and just compound the notes once a week, have a new weekly research note go out covering all of the outlooks and then giving my opinions on it, and then also some trade ideas at the very, very top with expectations for what assets probably will go to what price, direction, and by what time frame, and then maybe some economic events as catalysts, as a whole little checklist. I mean, yeah, you can see how this is kind of broken up. Central banks, macro, forex, geopolitics. Good stuff. Yeah, just check this out. All these things from Wells Fargo and S&P Global and BlackRock. This whole section here on Japan is from BlackRock. And I was talking with somebody literally just like 4 or 5 hours ago, And he was telling me, dude, all these yen trades look amazing. I said, yeah, they're probably going to continue to look amazing. And he said, don't you think that the Bank of Japan's going to be changing their monetary policy to get tighter? Because this is insane, right? And I went ahead and I said, dude, haven't you read any of the outlooks that have come out? Like, there are some big, big players that are not expecting a change. But see, I remember something that a lot of these outlooks have forgotten. And that's that the Bank of Japan actually wants people to have this opinion that they're not going to do anything. Because they have already said that they want, when they change their monetary policy, that they want to have the maximum impact. And the way that they can have the maximum impact, their own words, is the market has to effectively anticipate the opposite of what they're actually going to do. So if they do any sort of tightening in July, it won't be the consensus view. And it's going to probably screw over BlackRock because their expectation is that the Bank of Japan's going to keep things very loose. So they're just plowing money into Japan, taking advantage of this. So let's head on back over to the chart. And make sure you guys tell me what's going on, what charts you guys are looking at, what assets you guys are looking at. Because I can very quickly go over, pull some stuff up. As far as what's going on right now, I'm not so sure if we're at the top for the day. See, on a lot of these assets, especially on the FX assets that I specialize in, we have gone past specific daily prices on a lot of the FX charts because of these dollar moves and euro strength. And FYI, a lot of the euro strength today has come from a meeting with at the ECB. It's the ECB Forum on Central Banking. So they had... Oh, and by the way, they're still alive, actually. Yeah, there's like 300 people, 250 people watching. It's in Sintra, Portugal. That's where they're hosting the event. And I believe they also are having at some point Powell speak at this event. All right, Ahmed, you want me to check out Euro Pound? Pascal wants me to check out the Euro Dollar. Euro Dollar's been my pain trade because I keep going short on it and it keeps rocking it against me. But you know what? Thank God for proper, account management. It's good. It's good. And here's the other thing: when you make sure that you understand the funding for your broker, so then you know when you go long or short something if you have to pay funding or not. By me shorting Euro Dollar, I get paid funding. I'm actually getting paid on a daily basis. It's a little amount of money, right? But I'm getting paid on a daily basis to be short Euro Dollar. Oh, hello. Hello. Ah, what a good little girl. Cute, cute little kitty cat. Well, thank you guys for watching so far on the stream. What a nice little cat. She's playing with her toys now over there. So if you hear any jingling or whatever, just know it's just the cat playing. Yeah. Man, that Bitcoin is nutty, nutty, nutty. I don't really have great future expectations for Bitcoin, actually. Bitcoin probably won't perform well in a recession. Yeah. Say hi to the cat. Missed my Euro Aussie buy and my pound Aussie buy. Just a few pips. Oh well. Yeah, sometimes that happens. I was looking hardcore at Euro CAD. Yeah, check that out. Let me pull up. I think it's the weekly pivots. I wanted to buy like right here. I just wanted it to dip just a bit more. But man, look how strong it held that up. Yeah, it's already up 75 pips. Damn. I should have taken it with a small position size, but I was like, this thing it's got to come down at least maybe another 30 pips before it rockets, right? Right? And then, oh no, because there's all sorts of fantastic high probabilities with pivot probabilities I have. There's the probabilities for the week are on this pair are so fantastic. Real quick, let me just load up low odds and show you what I was looking at. See that? that's a that's a big old probability. That's what I was looking at. And I'm like, maybe I should take something. And I'm like, I want to see it come a little closer to this low. I think it's going to either make a lower low or get a little closer to that. And I didn't expect that. Damn. But you know what? Euro was gaining a lot of strength based off of the chat coming off of the ECB forum. The stream for that ECB meeting started 3 hours ago, and you can see there was a front run in the 2 hours leading into it, and then continuation. And right here is when Lagarde began speaking. I should probably pull up Euro Dollar when I talk about this. And right here, I can bring up Financial Juice. Yeah, HSBC came out just now and said that they anticipate a recession in the United States this year, and then in Europe sometime during 2024. However, I'm flipped on that expectation. I think Europe will go into a recession first before the United States. Also, Italy's deputy premier, the ECB risks triggering a recession. A lot of recession talk. A lot of recession talk. Oh, yeah. Xi is going to New Zealand. Yeah, there's probably going to be a boost over in the New Zealand currency here when Z actually shows up. Quote, the two nations need to work closely together to bring about the stable and continued growth of China and New Zealand's comprehensive strategic partnership, says Chinese state media. Gotcha. Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah. And then Lagarde was hawkish in her speech earlier today at that ECB forum. Let's see here. Rates are to stay elevated for as long as necessary, is what she said. Mm-hmm. Let's see. There was something else here. Apparently not. Other than that, there is expectations now that the Bank of England will have their terminal cash rate at 5.5% sometime during the third quarter. So another 50 basis points of hikes from 5%. Is CAD News going to drop it? Potentially, right? In an hour, we have Canadian CPI, and Canadian CPI could really move the Canadian dollar in favor of itself. Let's see, right here. Oh, man. Yeah, all sorts of fantastic trade setups here on effectively short CAD. Let me show you guys something. I think I want this one. Yep, this is the one. This is an equally weighted CAD FX index. So the denominator for all these FX pairs is CAD, and it's just equally weighted. So when this chart goes up, the Canadian dollar is getting weaker, and when this chart is going down, the Canadian is getting stronger. And you can see that we've been getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger for effectively the last 2 weeks of trade. Yeah, 12 calendar days. And now we're getting some relief here. Yeah, check out that huge strengthening all throughout here. Yeah, the Canadian dollar has been getting so freaking strong, man. You know, this almost looks like a Heikin-Ashi chart, but I'm not using Heikin-Ashi candles. See, I'm using normal candles, but this looks like Heikin-Ashi. It's just, it's so autocorrelated. Oh my god. So when you have a very highly autocorrelated chart, as soon as you flip from green to red or red to green, you're more likely to continue seeing green after you flip or red after you flip. So we've gone from green to red here, and it goes red, 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 red. And then when it flips from red to green, it now, under some basic assumptions, very basic assumptions, it should now go green, 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 green. And red on this chart is good for the Canadian. Green on this chart is bad for the Canadian. And this is a different way of looking kind of like at the Canadian futures. So up, 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 up is very good here for the Canadian on these futures. But this is something different than this. These are all equal weighted indices. Let's check out some of the requests here before I start going into analysis on some equities. How about Euro Pound? That one's interesting. Pull up some of my outlooks here, because I believe, yeah, I have from ING Think. They said earlier today that they're long Euro Pound. They think that they're going up to 88. Yeah, man, we're getting close to the end of the month here. Let's check out what the next period's pivots look like. And also, I'm going to check out if we caught the low. Oh. Wow. Right there's the probability weighted pivot low. for the month. On euro pound. Wasn't that a great trading opportunity or what? Yeah. And then you go to put your stop right there because you can clearly see larger probabilities farther down. So it's like, hey, buy here, stop at this S1. Because once you go past this S1, you're more than likely going to go to the next most probable pivot zone, which is kind of around this S2 pivot. And that also lines up with basic theory for pivot point trading. If you're crossing S1, your volatility is likely expanding. So you could see S2. That is also if you got some good directional momentum. And you had it here, that's for sure. But man, was that a strong bounce or what? That 50 basis points of extra rate hike and also the future rate hike path expectations for the Bank of England really saved this thing here on the reversal. Yeah. And you can get the pivot probabilities for the next month to show up. Yeah. Real quick, I wonder... Oh, wow. So not only was it the low with pivot probabilities for the whole month, it was also the low based off range probabilities, which is a continuous probability distribution model. Yeah, check that out. And it also told you, hey, your probabilities drop off roughly around here. So it also was telling you to put your stop roughly around this S1. And then check that out. You got this little bump here in the distribution saying, hey, you have a slight increase in your probabilities of finding your low around S2. So, I mean, this makes sense to me, right? Stop loss there. And so you have two different methodologies of calculating your probabilities, a frequentist approach and a Bayesian, continuous sort of Bayesian approach. Yeah. Very, very good stuff. Isn't that great? Doesn't this make it like so much easier to make trading decisions? Like, holy crap. Yeah. Good stuff. Euro pound, yeah. And it has some good positive expectations according to ING. Yeah. And that's a little higher than kind of the lows from this price range from the first quarter here, huh? We kind of have this price range. Oh no, he's about to do some bloody TA. Oh, I'm interested. I'm interested in seeing what happens at this price range. That'll probably end up being a resistance, but the fact that they're calling for 88 flat instead of like, oh, go to 87, the range of 87 to find your top, right? I don't even think we're going to be getting to 87 next month unless we see something totally crazy happen. I don't think we're going to get to here next month unless something totally crazy happens. You know, we may get to the high 86s, you know. You could be a TA guy and do something like that. Right? The high 86s. But also that lines up with my general expectation for the future volatility here on this pair. So it's fairly coincidental. But this might be a decent target for like 2 or 3 months out going into October. Because if a world global recession were to occur or slowdown were to occur, I think it would hurt the UK more than it would hurt the Euro area. So it makes sense to assume, okay, if there's a recession coming about here sometime around late July, August that actually gets realized sometime during the June and July data during the summer, then maybe you can anticipate that the relative rate of change gives more of a boon towards the euro area. Does that make sense? Let's see. Let's go on to the next pair here. How about Euro Aussie? Aussie is probably going to hold up just fine. It's been losing quite a lot of strength, though. I mean, also, this is insanely auto. That's an insane autocorrelation. Oh my god. It's very autocorrelated. Red, 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 red. And then green, 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 green. Also, you had compressed pivots. So when the volatility here just spiked below this S1, just automatically you're targeting S2 here. Yeah. But this rebound was so freaking strong. And you can tell that this was effectively based off the rebound from the RBA coming out saying, oh, maybe we'll hike, and no one really believing them. Yet, they're still expected to hike, right? It's just maybe they'll hike one more time. And then the ECB coming out and saying, oh, we'll hike 2-3 more times if necessary. So this is relative change situation. Also, I believe Australia just had some a business survey come out. And I think it's like 3 points low. It's like, yeah, all the surveys out of Australia are horrible right now. Let's see. Pound Aussie. Wow. Was I right or was I right? Jesus. I mean, I certainly didn't get the magnitude of this thing right, but I certainly did get the direction correct. I wonder why I circled this. Let's turn on pivot probabilities. Whoa. That is a probability gap if I've ever seen one. Jesus. So this is saying never in like the last 20 years have we ever had the low for the month of June between S1 and S1.5. So yeah, you come down here, you go to psych level 185, few days of consolidation, and a particularly dovish relative to the pound, RBA, right? RBA is relatively more dovish than the Bank of England. Yeah, wow. That's what a surprise hike will do for you. Whoa. But not able to out-hawk the ECB, huh? Let's see. Alrighty, let's go on to equities here. Equities are about to open if they're not already. So this was my expectation drawn a few days ago when we cracked this linear trend. The assumption that the trend will continue going up and to the right should stop. And yeah, that's exactly what we got. I think we did the same thing here. No. You could apply the same logic here. Caught that one. RTY. Wow. Nice call low there. How about we check out crude oil? So it's still following its linear trend. Right, this is an actual forecast. We're drawing the data from here. all the way out to here. So that's how much data we're encompassing here. So all this drawn out forward is a forecast. So once we got up to here, that was an excellent sell. We got this wrong directionally, so that's just wrong. That was 10 calendar days ago, 11 calendar days ago now. So how about we do something called another forecast? How about we say this thing bounces in the upper 66 range and then goes back to the mid 68s. Let's assume that this linear trend continues. And we'll follow up on this in future daily plans. So if you're not already, subscribe and we'll follow up on that. A little bit of gold. Little bit of gold. So we didn't go up or down here. I mean, maybe we'll go down after this point because we have the seasonal expected bearish seasonal expected value here. But that was just flat out wrong. I was anticipating that due to the dollar weakness out of euro that it would help, but commodities have just been getting totally pummeled. Totally pummeled. So, nope, no deal. However, there were some good, I remember some good daily trades here, some good threshold trades on these particular 3 trading days. Let's head over to the Bitcoin. So far, so good. I don't know if this consolidation is actually going to end up with us hitting the 23K zone or not. I would certainly hope so. I mean, look, 40K ain't that far away on a logarithmic scale. ETH is still kind of holding in there. Had a fantastic bounce there. Fantastic bounce. Yeah, that was going to be a hard one to call based off this indicator. You want me to look at dollar CAD again? And looks like Litecoin looks like the same thing. Alrighty, I'll go ahead and check out the dollar CAD. So I had expectations that this move here for these couple of trading days was going to be on the more bullish side over here. I had the anticipation we were going to go down. We did so only later in the week. So we had a little up. We hit the expected target from here and only a little up after that. So we never quite hit the high I wanted us to hit. But as far as targets getting hit, net, that's actually pretty fine. It's actually pretty fine as far as the trade plan goes. Let's see if we hit the low for the week. Oh. Check that out. How far are we from this probability weighted pivot low? So the low on this bar here and the current low for the week is at 1.31166. And the probability weighted pivot is at 1.31129. So I'm about 3.5 pips off with this probability weighted pivot from the low. Sorry for the 3.5 pips inaccuracy. another thing we can do here, if you were to add this 13 plus this 4 plus this 4, so this makes a 9. You're talking what? 21%, 22% of your lows for this particular week occur below this S1.5 pivot. So if that's true, then what that implies is 78, 77% of the time, your low for this week comes in above this S1.5 pivot. We can forgive you for the 3 pips, yeah. This happens more frequently than I like to admit. I just wish it went to the psych level of 131. And, I still have hope that will happen. I still have hope we will hit 131 or just go a tad below it, right? Like go to like 130.98 or 99, right? But man, if the dollar starts getting strong from here, I'm gonna be getting upset. Ruining my perfect buys, right? Just because I didn't enter at the most conservative price possible. But that's the thing when you have pivot ranges. When there's a range of prices you're interested in, you got to take some shot, even if it's a tiny shot, and optimally tiny shots first. So, 20 basis points on the first entry, you wait a little while. 30 basis points somewhere closer to this S1.3, even if you get it, right? And then as it comes back up and crosses the S1 pivot back to the upside, enter 50 basis points. You'll probably have some momentum signal. You'll probably have some yield spread signal. And the other thing is there was also a yield spread signal here. There's a positive yield spread signal right here on this exact bar. Oh, man. Yeah, let's check out the yield spreads here. Short-term yield spreads, the fastest moving yield spreads are starting to move positive. Net, though, it's overall pretty negative. But the yield spreads are improving on the day. Let's go ahead and look at the euro-dollar yield spreads. The euro-dollar yield spreads are pretty negative right now. But it looks like the only positive set of yield spreads we have come from partially the 1 and the 2-year yield. Everything else from the 3-year to the 30 is pretty darn negative as far as yield spreads go. So let's see. Is there anything you guys want me to check out? Any yen pairs, any crosses, any equities? Let's go ahead and actually check out Australia. Oh, good. It's not continuing to fall through. How about New Zealand? New Zealand's holding up a lot better. Hopefully, Xi has some magic still in him. So when he has his visit to New Zealand, he can whip up a little bit of that Chinese economic growth for New Zealand's economy. Give him a little boost, Xi probably is thinking, maybe I can pull a Trump here, right? A Trump tweet. Remember during Trump's presidency how he'd tweet and it would just move markets instantly? There were people who set up entire sentiment trading bots based off of analyzing his tweets. Oh my god, the volatility and the power he had over Twitter, man. God forbid. I mean, the volatility right now in the world, here's the VIX, is insanely low. You know what would happen to this if Trump came back to Twitter? Oh my god. If Trump came back to Twitter, the VIX would immediately go up 5 points. I just Lord knows the things that he would say, the sort of shit he'd disturb, right? New Zealand CAD for James, oh boy, I'll do it for you. New Zealand CAD. Oh, looks like we did do a trade plan on this. It didn't quite work out. The yield spreads continued to stay negative going into that rebound. So it didn't really get to play through. Yeah. However, short term, your yield spreads are improving quite well now. Yeah, your short term yield spreads and even your intermediate term yield spreads are improving quite a lot. It seems like most of the negativity here on the yield spread is coming from the massive negative lag still from yields 25 days ago compared to right now. So this looks pretty all right. It's not the most bullish thing in the world on the short term side of things, but you know, the 7, the 10, and the 20 yield spreads are moving nice and positively for New Zealand against the Canadian. And I think there's an expectation that New Zealand will hike at least one more time, as a surprise, potentially. I don't think so. I think the consensus outlook, though, isn't the consensus outlook for the RBNZ is that they've paused and they're done. So unless there's a surprise print for June's inflation when it gets released in July, that it's still higher, yeah, then maybe the RBNZ will actually do a surprise hike. But I think the RBNZ will telegraph it. I think the RBNZ would telegraph it. So yeah, consensus on RBNZ right now is they're pausing. However, the consensus on the Canadian central banks, right, the Bank of Canada, is that they're probably going to hike 1 or 2 more times. Bank of Canada is probably not done at all. Real quick. Central banks. Let me pull up a little bit of research here. Bank of Canada and RBNZ. So here's the RBNZ. The outlooks that I have right now, and that's only one, is dovish. That is the outlook for this week. You know, I have outlooks from last week that are also dovish, but it looks like, oh, I'm getting alerts here on, looks like New Zealand dollar going kind of a bit higher. Yeah, it's at 1095. Ouch. Sucks to be short. But I think that's because the dollar's getting considerably weaker again here. Real quick, I gotta go back to the charts, fellas. Yeah, check that out. the dollar is not holding up. Real quick, on the short-term basis, let's see how much further it will probably fall. Let's use the range probabilities for that. So check this out. Either you were anticipating your low to come in right here, like I was, in all seriousness. Somewhere around this 102.5 price. Maybe your low will come in right now for all intents and purposes. But once you start crossing below this S0.5 pivot on the weekly higher time frame, you're likely going to move to the next peak here in this distribution, which is around the S1 pivot. So you can see the peaks, right, guys? Like there's a peak right here in this distribution, and then there's another peak roughly around here. So once you cross this threshold here around this price, call it, if I could, real quick, 102.39, let's say, below this S0.5 pivot, you're probably gonna go here to the S1, somewhere just probably below it. Call it 102.1, right? And hell, you might even hit 102 as the psych level. Yeah, I definitely would be careful being long the dollar past this S1.5 pivot, though. You can start to see how the probabilities start to get very small and thin and spread out throughout a very wide price range. This is all falling knife territory for you guys. So yeah, either this little pullback thing here ends up rallying into the end of the day and we end up closing maybe closer to 102.8 by the end of the week, or you end up down here around the 102 level, flat. So there could be a big chunky move in store here for the DXY going once you've gone past this S0.5 pivot. So let's go ahead and mark that up real quick as a bearish threshold. Gotta identify your risk, my man. There you go. So this doesn't mean that as soon as you literally cross this pivot that you're absolutely going down here. It just means, okay, based off of our arbitrary selection of these prices, based off our discretionary and visual interpretation of these probabilities based off the low data for any given week over the last 5,000 bars, simulating that data over a probability distribution. Roughly, this is the sort of expectation we should have. Once you generally go past these prices, the next most likely area you'll end up at is around this S1 pivot. So does that make sense to you guys? Hopefully that was a clear explanation. But yeah, dollar was on the move, and arguably it still is. Which kind of sucks because I want to be long the dollar. So much of the Outlook's research calls for a stronger dollar and stronger future expectations. But I don't see it, right? And that has to do mostly because of Europe and their very aggressive hiking. Also, their very aggressive monetary tightening that's been going on today, which is one of the reasons why the dollar has been falling hard, particularly. Let's move on I wanted to finish that guy's request here for New Zealand CAD. And to do that, I wanted to real quick go over this, which was we have expectations that the RBNZ is on hold. They're paused. However, note this section right here that I mentioned, right? These guys here from, I believe, ASB. If I recall correctly, this is an ASB outlook. They note that there are other firms that are calling for a 25 basis point hike in July. And now so they're somewhat dovish, and then they're identifying risks of, hey, some other analysts are hawkish, roughly. It's kind of more of a neutral view. It's like flip a coin whether or not it actually comes out with a hike or not. And the other flip side of the coin is the Bank of Canada. So they resumed rate hikes, and they're expected to do one more in July. And this is a Wells Fargo outlook that I actually highly recommend reading if you want to get into reading outlooks and educating yourself about the global macro views of some of these guys who are running these institutions and writing these outlooks. This international economics outlook is particularly good. You can get access to all these outlooks if you go into the Discord. So Plan to Profit Discord, link in description. There's a research category, and in there's an outlooks channel. And all these outlooks are free. They're not behind any paywall or anything. They're all publicly available and free. I just link to them. And I link directly to the sources. Yeah. Go to that outlooks channel. Find the International Economic Outlook by Wells Fargo and give that one a read if you're brand new. And I think I even bring it up in the general chat. I link to that one specifically. It's been a favorite of mine to recommend to guys just getting into reading for a couple of years now, I think. I've been recommending it specifically. Let's go over now to New Zealand CAD. So let's see here. Let's hide that. Let's look at our upside. Upside can be a little limited. Maybe for this week, you go up to 81.5, and you can say it's something like that. But we're already so close to 81.5, right? That's only 25 pips away. That's not a particularly enticing trade or enticing forecast, right? If people make super safe forecasts constantly on all of their trades, you're not really taking a whole lot of risks on, like, for example, here, it's like, I expected down, then up, but then the yield spreads continue to get negative. So you have to adjust, right? You always want to have some sort of baseline expectation for how a market's going to move going into the future, and then use the information available to you with whatever indicators, with whatever outlooks, with your Squawk chat. Financial Juice is free. Use that as your Squawk. Whatever tools you have at your disposal to then update your beliefs in real time as new information comes along, so that then you can be nimble, right? That's what the Mr. Brent Donnelly says. It's what this guy says. Alpha Trader is actually a pretty good book. Also, if you're new to all this stuff. Yeah. Stay humble. Stay nimble. That's what he says. Actually, I have a bookmark tab in here. Let me just real quick check out where that's at. A little section called significant reference points. Those are levels that are likely to feature prominently in the mind of the market. These are levels a majority of market players view as important. Psychological levels. Big round numbers, integers. Let's see here. All right, the Canadian inflation numbers should be coming out here in just a moment. Yep, you can see all here. So let's see how the CAD news comes out. Let's see. Let's go to dollar CAD. It'll probably be a boon here. Probably going to target that R 0.5 on the weekly if everything works out. Okay, so we're going to be watching dollar CAD as the data comes out here. Gonna pull up Financial Juice. All right, 20 seconds. You guys probably already got the data on your end. Alrighty. Here's the anticipation. Let's see here. Ooh. It's a beat. Oh, looks like Eurodollar is reversing and dollar CAD is going higher. US durable goods is, whoa, the US data beat big time. Yeah, the US data is kicking some ass right now. Yeah, so it's not just the Canadian data that came in as forecast, if not a little better. But check out US durable goods. Came out positive. It was expected either to come out flat or negative. Yeah, durable goods came out doing just fine. But inflation out of CAD is doing phenomenally still. Wow, wow, wow. Good for the Canadians. Good on them. But the US is still seeing some good growth here on durable goods. So that's the trades here are kind of getting mixed. Some people are taking signals on the US data, some people are taking signals on the Canadian data. Let's go ahead and pull up one of our two indices here. Let's pull up either the Canadian index here. Ooh, that's not good. You want to see this chart moving down for Canadian strength. So, equally weighted across the G6, the Canadian is not doing so well. As far as the CME future goes, it is bouncing here. So that is good to see. How about oil? I wouldn't have imagined that this moved oil at all. Yes, it's given oil a little bit of a bounce over the last 30 or so minutes. Yeah, wow. And core CPI is also coming down lower. It came down a little lower than expected for the Canadians, which is especially good because sticky CPI, sticky core CPI. Yeah, well, check that out. Quite a negative move here for the Canadian. On generally good inflationary news, however, here's the thing. When you're trying to go into a bull market, you want inflation to be going up, right? But growth in all of these countries around the world is slowing down. So if you know your growth inflation matrix and the regimes in this little 2x2 matrix, when growth is going down, Canada, for example, and inflation is going up, you have stagflation. What the bulls want to occur is for inflation to continue going up or stay high on an absolute level, and then see a reversal in growth back to positive territory. And that would reinitiate a bull market. However, future expectations for growth are very, very poor, especially for Canada, to be quite frank. So when you see negative growth and negative growth expectations on top of inflation that is now surprising to the downside and meeting downside forecasts, you have decreasing inflation. So you put the two together with decreasing inflation and decreasing growth, and that puts you into a bearish regime. That puts you into a contractionary regime. Yeah, wow. So the growth story in CAD is over. EuroCAD is probably up and away right now. Yep, it's continued to rise. It's now up another 10 or so pips. Oh, don't I feel like I missed out, huh? This is why you got to take your conservative shots, right? Because that's one volatile move, but guess what? 20 basis points of your account on 80 pips in the span of like 5 hours still feels better than not having any basis points on the trade. Yeah. That's just what happens. Alrighty. Well, I think that's pretty much everything that was going to happen today. Oh, well, I thought I was sharing my charts this entire time. Thanks, guys. I've been reading chat the entire time. I was reading chat the entire time, looking at my stuff, and I'm like, I wonder what's going on. I had my face cam up the whole time. You guys got to tell me when I'm doing analysis on these freaking charts. Remind me. This is it'll happen again. Trust me, it'll happen again at some point in the future. But I try to remind myself. It's just I keep going back and forth, back and forth. Yeah. Yeah, I thought I was showing off all the moves here, what's going on with VN. CAD yen and CAD Swissy, right? All these moves. Real quick. Right? This is not good for the Canadian. You have to see red here for the Canadian to see improvement. Right? Just like on this chart, Euro has been getting stronger in this scenario. Red, 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 red. However, I am a little curious on the downside expectations. Ooh. Well, hopefully this thing doesn't go past this S1, because once you do go past this S1 pivot for Euro on this index, you're going to be dealing with a lot of uncertainty as far as where your low's actually going to end up. Oh, we got another move here. Uh-oh. We just crossed the bearish threshold here on the Dixie. Uh-oh. That's not good. However, I bet the stock market loves that. Let's actually check out. Oh, the stock market's not moving a whole lot here. TLT is moving up. The Canadian stock market really loved those CPI numbers, though, apparently. Hopefully, actually, nope, that was yesterday. Canadian stock market's not open. S&P is flat right now. Same thing with the NASDAQ. Huh. Yeah. So be careful. Shorting the dollar. Be careful. Large amount of your probabilities of going lower here. Not good. Not good. However, Euro doing fantastic. Aussie looks like it's about to rebound. Pound holding in there. Yen also holding in there. It looks like it's going to rebound too, believe it or not. New Zealand, I think you got a negative trend here going on, New Zealand. Let's go ahead and pull up. Where is the... We can use this little thing here. And then forecast that into the future. See what I mean by saying New Zealand could fall, right? If you assume this trend from the last week will continue into the future, you'll probably end up with New Zealand falling, even into Xi's meeting. Huh? But if you keep going up here for the next day or two into Wednesday, you could see a big pop above this R1 pivot. And then the Swissy. Whoa, that's a tight range you got going on there, Swissy. A tight range. Alrighty. Well, that's everything I wanted to cover today. So, I've been your boss, Joe Boss, for Plan the Profit. I'll be in the Discord chat immediately after this. So if you wanted to hang out with me, talk with me throughout the rest of the New York trading session, join the Discord, hop into the trading room voice chat in there. And see you guys tomorrow for the next daily plan. In a bit.